Now we have to try and understand as to what the tribals did to sustain themselves. What were their occupations? What did they do for their living? The first thing that they did was they practiced jhum cultivation. Jhum cultivation means shifting cultivation. In this kind of cultivation, generally a small patch of land is cultivated in the forest, and after this land is cultivated and the crop is ripened and harvested, then they move to the next patch of land and leave the first land fallow for few years so that it can regain its fertility. This shifting cultivation or jhum cultivation was mostly practiced in the hilly and forested tracts of northeastern and central India. In this, the tribal people did not use any modern agricultural implements, and with very simple tools they did the agriculture. And thus, first thing that they did was that they actually cut the tree tops so that the sunlight could easily reach the ground. And then of course the sowing of the seed, and then when the plant ripened, that is the time they harvested it. And the same ashes were used as fertilizers and manures, because at the end of the harvest the remaining part of the plant was burnt. So this was the first major occupation of the people of the tribal group. But their second occupation was they even acted as hunters and gatherers. Now they hunted small animals for meat and gathered lot of things from the forest. So whether it is the cultivation or it is gathering or hunting, we have understood one thing, that the tribal groups dependent on forest for their livelihoods. And here we see that especially the Khonds of Orissa, they used to move in a group and then they used to hunt animals, and after the end of the hunting they used to divide the meat among themselves. But other products from the forest were equally important. Whether it was the sal or the mahua tree for oil, or whether it was the shrubs or the herbs which were available in the forest for medicinal purposes, or the kusum and the palash flowers which were used by the local dyers to color clothes and also leather, were all available in the forest, and these people collected and hunted them, and thus anybody who needed them came to them. So they had things by which they could buy other things that the forest did not have and they wanted. That is, supposing they wanted to buy rice or grains, then what would they do? Then the old barter system was used by them, and they gave all these things in lieu of whatever they required. Some of the tribal group people started doing odd jobs like construction of roads or helping in the fields as laborers. But not everyone was comfortable with such kind of jobs, especially the Bagyas of central India felt that they were just forest men and it was below their dignity to work as laborers. So we have understood that these people of course were generally forested men, but were drifting, were moving so that they could get better opportunities of livelihood. Now when the trading system started, that is when they started depending on trade to buy their grains and give something in lieu of that, it was not always possible, as for which they needed money. So they started getting money from the money lender. And this is where the problem of these people started. Since they picked up loans from the money lender, they afterwards led a life of debt and poverty. So that was the beginning of their crucial life, and thus the invasion of the Dikus, as they called him, had entered, giving them lot of worries for the future.